Imagine you're sitting in a cold, dim cave. It's 40,000 BC, and it has been pouring rain outside for 3 days straight. There's no fire to tend because every scrap of firewood is completely soaked. There's no hunting to do either, because nothing in the wild is crazy enough to move in this weather. There's no smartphone, obviously, but there are also no books, no ticking clocks, and no way to tell when the day will end. Worst of all, you've already had every single conversation with your campmates 4 times over. You are, in the most literal sense imaginable, completely bored out of your mind. Just staring up into the dark, feeling the excruciating weight of empty, unstructured time. And right there, thousands of years ago, one of our ancestors decided, I have to do something about this. That simple spark connects you directly across tens of thousands of years to the very first creative acts of our species. Because long before entertainment was an industry, killing boredom was a battle for our minds. This isn't a story about modern Netflix, doom scrolling, or the 17 tabs you have open right now. We're talking about the very first tools humanity built to fight off a very ancient enemy. Because boredom isn't just an annoying modern inconvenience, it might be the single most dangerous emotion a hunter-gatherer could feel. It was an intense evolutionary pressure cooker that pushed our species to its limits. When you're a vulnerable group of primates surviving in the dark with predators outside, an unfocused mind gets you killed. A restless brain needed an outlet, or the pressure would tear the tribe apart from within. And the proof of how early humans fought back has been sitting right beneath our feet in the dirt for millennia. When archaeologists look closely at these strange ancient relics, they realize something astonishing. These weren't just tools for hunting animals, they were tools for stimulating the human mind. Let's take a look at the wild ways our ancestors went to war against empty time. First, let's tackle the big myth. Wasn't ancient life a non-stop 24/7 panic for food? Actually, no. That common assumption is almost completely backwards. Anthropologists who studied surviving hunter-gatherer societies, like the Hadza and the Juhowansi, uncovered a massive surprise. These tribes often secured all the food and resources they needed in just a few relaxed hours a day. Early foragers frequently spent less time working for survival than a modern office worker spends commuting and sitting in a cubicle combined. Back in 1966, anthropologist Marshall Salins rocked the scientific world by naming hunter-gatherers the original Affluent society. The idea hit academic circles like a grenade, flipping everything we thought we knew about early human life upside down. Hunter-gatherers didn't have a shortage of time. They had a massive surplus of empty downtime, which meant they had endless hours of sitting around with nothing urgent to do. And when you have that much free time, boredom becomes an immediate crisis you have to solve. Remember, early humans were fragile primates living in the shadows of apex predators. Boredom makes people careless. It tempts you to daydream, lose focus, and wander away from the safety of the group. In an ancient forest, taking your eye off your surroundings for even a few minutes could be fatal. If one person's attention snapped, it put the entire tribe's security on the line. Human survival didn't rely on sharp claws or thick armor. It relied entirely on tight-knit group cohesion. An unengaged, fractured group was a vulnerable group. All that pent-up, restless human energy had to go somewhere productive. How do you keep dozens of active minds calm, engaged, and united during long hours of isolation? They had to actively conquer idleness before it could pull them apart. So our ancestors picked up whatever raw materials were lying around and got to work. To find the first real clues, we travel down to Blombos Cave on the rugged coast of South Africa. Archaeologists working here dug up a tiny piece of reddish-brown ochre stone dating back an incredible 73,000 years. Engraved across its surface were deliberate, crisp, cross-hatched pattern lines. These weren't random scratches from butchering meat. This was a planned, repeated geometric design. 73 millennia ago, a human sat quietly with two rocks, carefully scratching marks onto a surface. That little drawing didn't catch food, provide warmth, or build a shelter. It existed for one simple, magnificent reason. A human being was entertaining their own brain. It represents one of the earliest known drawings in human history. Every masterpiece, comic book, and notebook doodle in history traces its roots straight back to that single scratch. Art wasn't born out of survival necessity. It was born out of creative boredom. Visual doodles were just the beginning. Let's move to a freezing cave in Hohlfels, Germany, 40,000 years ago. Here, archaeologists pulled out a delicate artifact crafted from the hollow wing bone of a giant vulture. It was a fully functional flute with finger holes drilled into the bone with genuine acoustic precision. Someone spent days in the bitter cold carving and tuning an instrument out of pure patience. When you blow into it, clear musical notes echo off the cave walls, cutting straight through the dead silence. There's an even older, disputed candidate, a 50,000-year-old bear bone found in Slovenia's Divje cave. Scientists still debate whether Neanderthals carved those holes or if a hungry hyena bit them into the bone. Either way, deep in prehistory, hominids were filling the quiet dark with harmony. Music doesn't keep you warm, and you can't eat a melody. They made music purely to light up their minds and share joy across long, empty nights. Art and music were great, but humans soon wanted structured, repeatable ways to pass the time. Enter Knucklebones, the small, dense ankle bones of sheep and goats, known as Astragali. Because of their unique shape, when you toss them in the air, they naturally land on one of four distinct sides. Just like that, nature provided humanity with its very first four-sided dice. Across ancient Mesopotamia, people gathered around on woven mats to toss bones and make friendly wagers. In ancient Greece, children and adults alike used them for fortune-telling, gambling, and simple playground pastimes. Roman legionnaires tossed knucklebones on stone steps to kill grueling hours between guard shifts. They used them for thousands of years before anyone ever thought to carve a standard six-sided wooden cube. Archaeologists dig up thousands of these worn little bones across every corner of the ancient world. Humanity's very first game nights were officially underway. As great civilizations rose, passing time evolved from casual bone tossing into elegant tabletop games. Over 5,000 years ago in Egypt, people fell in love with a grid-based strategy game called Senet. Nobles loved it so much they painted boards on tomb walls and packed sets into sarcophagi so they could play in the afterlife. In a poetic twist of tragedy, the game was cherished for millennia, but its complete original rules are lost to history. Meanwhile, in Mesopotamia, excavators at the royal tombs of Ur unearthed an ornate board game from 2600 BC. Centuries later, an archaeologist at the British Museum translated a tiny cuneiform tablet and found the jackpot, the actual rules. When researchers set up the pieces and followed the instructions, the game worked seamlessly. People in ancient Iraq were sitting down on a slow evening to roll dice and outsmart friends exactly the way you do tonight. It was the ultimate blend of pure luck, deep tactical strategy, and friendly rivalry. Board games had officially cemented themselves as one of humanity's favorite antidotes to boredom. Yet the oldest and most powerful anti-boredom tool of all never left behind a single physical fossil. We're talking about storytelling, a tradition found in every single human culture ever documented. Myths, folklore, epic adventures, and outrageous campfire jokes about the one that got away. When anthropologists studied nightly camp conversations among the Juhoansi, they found people rarely talked about hunting plans. Most of the night was pure social storytelling. Who did what, who made a mistake, and who embarrassed themselves. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar suggested that human language evolved as vocal grooming, a way to bond large groups without needing to touch. Talking transformed idle chatter into an invisible web of social trust. Which means the earliest form of boredom relief and the earliest form of community survival were the exact same thing. You weren't just passing empty time around that fire, you were forging bonds that kept everyone alive. In the warmth of a shared story, the fear of the dark outside melted away. Underneath all this art, gaming, and storytelling sits a basic biological engine: play. Watch any young animal, a wolf pup or a baby chimp, and you'll see seemingly pointless, repetitive play. It looks purposeless on the outside, but biologically, it's doing critical heavy lifting. Play builds motor coordination, tests boundaries, and teaches complex social rules effortlessly. Evolutionary biologists now view boredom as nature's built-in pressure release valve. That uncomfortable, itchy restlessness is your brain's internal alarm shouting, "Go explore, try something new, or you'll stagnate." Because in the wild, sitting totally still and mentally checking out meant falling behind the curve. Boredom forced our ancestors to venture over the next ridge and discover new horizons. Our insatiable hunger for novelty is what made us human in the first place. Boredom wasn't a glitch in our biological programming. It was the primary spark of human progress. And that brings us to the most uncomfortable realization in the whole story. The ancient drive that carved bird bones and etched cave stones is the exact same itch being targeted right now by tech giants. Every app that refreshes with a downward swipe is built directly on that prehistoric craving for novelty. The critical difference is deliberate engineering. Prehistoric crafts were made slowly and communally. Modern software has been optimized for relentless digital engagement, the same way tobacco was once engineered for speed. Your phone will buzz in your pocket at 2 in the morning, demanding your eyes back. A set of animal knucklebones never buzzed on your bedside table, begging for one more roll. We traded slow, social boredom killers that brought us together for instant, isolated stimulation. 70,000 years of gradual human evolution got compressed into 20 years of algorithmic code. Once you realize how your ancient brain is being triggered, you can finally pause and take control back. So, how did ancient humans conquer boredom? With everything we still love: drawing, making music, playing games, and telling stories. Boredom wasn't a curse. It was the original creative engine that built human civilization. Every masterpiece and game in history traces back to someone sitting in the rain with nothing to do, choosing to create anyway. The next time you catch yourself reaching automatically for your phone during an awkward, quiet moment, remember that the restless feeling inside you isn't a personal flaw. It's your ancient heritage. The glass gadget in your hand is brand new, but the biological itch underneath has been there forever. You aren't just trying to kill time or scroll away the minutes. You're participating in the oldest human tradition there is. You're doing what our ancestors did through every ice age, drought, and storm. You're reaching out into the quiet, searching for the next spark in the dark.